They said it was cursed. They said the director was doomed, the script was tainted, the production would fall apart before the first reel finished spinning. Clint Eastwood didn't care. The Outlaw Josey Wales wasn't just a movie, it was a battlefield dressed as a western. A mutiny behind the camera, a fraud at the typewriter, real cowboys breaking real bones on real horses. Actors who couldn't speak English, guns that could actually kill, and weather that tried its best to drown the entire crew. These aren't fun trivia bits. These are the 20 weird facts they never wanted you to know. Philip Kaufman walked onto the set of The Outlaw Josey Wales with a scholar's obsession for detail. He wanted quiet, long takes, slow-burn tension, and a literary western that unfolded like a bruised epic poem. Clint Eastwood wanted the opposite: efficiency, grit, and a camera that moved as fast as he did. At first, the two tried to coexist, Kaufman's meticulous setups, Clint's instinctual speed. But every hour Kaufman spent fussing with camera placement cost the production money, patience, and Clint's famously short fuse. The crew saw it coming. Kaufman would demand 10 more takes, Clint thought the first one was already perfect. Kaufman wanted emotional fragility, Clint wanted momentum. Their visions didn't just diverge, they collided. And then came the day it snapped. Kaufman held up a scene to rehearse a minor beat for the 5th time. Clint walked over, stared him down, and quietly declared the mutiny. Kaufman was done. The studio panicked, firing a director mid-shoot was unheard of. But Eastwood wasn't asking. He was taking over. Overnight, the entire rhythm changed. Long setups vanished. Scenes became raw, stripped, almost primal. The movie shifted from a director's meditation to an actor's battlefield. And that's why Josey Wales feels like a fistfight between two visions, because it literally was. Before Hollywood ever touched it, The Outlaw Josey Wales carried a stain no one recognized. The novel's author, Forrest Carter, presented himself as a gentle, soft-spoken Cherokee storyteller, a man with deep tribal roots and a talent for frontier myth. It was a complete fabrication. His real name was Asa Earl Carter, and his real history was darker than any villain in the film. He was a former Ku Klux Klan member, a white supremacist speechwriter, and the architect behind some of George Wallace's most notorious segregationist rhetoric. But Carter reinvented himself with the precision of a con artist. He vanished from Alabama, resurfaced in the Southwest, adopted a fake Cherokee identity, and began publishing novels under a pseudonym. Hollywood, eager for a mythic frontier tale, never questioned him. Studios loved the backstory. Journalists repeated it. Publishers advertised it. The brutal irony. A story celebrated for its themes of unity, chosen family, and cross-cultural loyalty had been written by a man who spent years preaching division. No one on the production knew. Clint Eastwood certainly didn't. The deception held for nearly 2 decades until investigative reporters cracked the truth open long after the movie had become a classic. It didn't rewrite the film, but it forever recontextualized it. Chief Dan George arrived on set with a presence that needed no embellishment, quiet, dignified, carrying the weight of lived history in every gesture. But beneath that calm exterior was a challenge that threatened to derail his role. He struggled deeply with English. His first language was Salish, and reading long English passages was nearly impossible. Scripts weren't words to him, they were shapes and angles on a page. So the production built a workaround. His daughter would sit with him each night, reading line after line aloud until the sounds became familiar. He memorized phonetically, not the meaning first, but the music of the words. It was an unorthodox, fragile process, and no one knew whether it would translate on camera. Then something extraordinary happened. Because he learned the lines by sound, every word he delivered came out slow, careful, weighted with intention. His pauses weren't dramatic choices, they were moments of mental translation, but the effect was devastatingly genuine. What could have looked stilted instead felt profound. Eastwood sensed the magic immediately. A quiet bond formed between them, built on trust and mutual respect. And when Chief Dan George delivered his monologue, the one everyone feared, he didn't just speak. He felt. By the final word, the crew was silent, many openly crying. It was raw, unpolished truth. When Sandra Locke walked into the audition room, it wasn't with the confidence of a star, it was with a curious, watchful intensity that immediately drew Eastwood's attention. She wasn't the obvious choice for Laura Lee. Studio notes favored more established actresses, safer bets. But Eastwood wasn't looking for safe. He was looking for a spark. Locke delivered her audition with a softness that hid steel underneath. Her voice trembled in the right places, but her eyes stayed fierce. Eastwood saw something in that contradiction, vulnerability paired with stubborn will, and within minutes he knew she was the one. The producers were stunned. Locke herself was stunned. Then, as filming began, something unexpected happened. Their chemistry didn't have to be manufactured. It simply appeared, quietly at first, then unmistakably. Scenes between Eastwood and Locke felt less like acting and more like two people discovering each other in real time. The camera loved her, but more importantly, Eastwood did too. Their off-screen relationship grew rapidly, creating a feedback loop that intensified every moment they shared on screen. Locke played Laura Lee with emotional rawness, fear, longing, resilience, and her scenes carried a charge that electrified the film. What began as a casting decision became something far more personal. And for the rest of the production, everyone on set understood, this pairing wasn't just artistic. It was complicated, consuming, and impossible to ignore. Eastwood didn't just direct, he demanded authenticity, and that extended to every stunt. Hollywood stunt coordinators proposed padded rigs, crash mats, and slow-motion safety choreography. Eastwood rejected it all. He wanted real cowboys, real horses, and real danger. On his sets, the horses were alive with unpredictability, the riders were trained for work on sprawling ranches, not studios, and there were no nets, no hidden cushions, no second takes designed to protect flesh. This philosophy wasn't just about adrenaline, it was about capturing truth. When a rider stumbled from a horse, the camera didn't flinch, and neither did Eastwood. Injuries happened, broken bones, sprained ankles, gashes, but the code was simple: rise, dust off, and keep going. One near-fatal fall became legendary. A stuntman somersaulted off a horse mid-gallop and somehow landed upright, riding on instinct alone. The tension on set was palpable. Extras and crew watched each scene with a mixture of awe and fear. Horses galloping at full tilt, dust clouds, real falls, the camera caught every heartbeat of danger. This unfiltered risk gave the film a kinetic energy that no choreography could replicate. Eastwood's philosophy was ruthless, yes, but the payoff was undeniable. Every moment felt lived, immediate, and terrifyingly real. It was a cinema built on courage, grit, and the quiet terror of the unknown. On Eastwood's set, the guns weren't props, they were weapons. He insisted on authentic 1860s firearms, insisting the smoke, the recoil, the firepower had to match the period. Every weapon fired on camera was functional, loaded with blank rounds, but the effect was visceral: flashes, burns, and the thunderous roar of history brought alive in each scene. Actors learned to respect the tools immediately. Misfires were terrifying, unpredictable, and sometimes sent crew ducking for cover. Sparks singed costumes, powder burns left marks, and insurance premiums soared with each shoot. Yet Eastwood didn't relent. Realism mattered more than comfort, and every scene demanded that the actors react as if a real threat stood before them. The tension wasn't just cinematic, it was psychological. Actors genuinely flinched when firearms discharged, and the cameras caught it all. The smell of gunpowder, the kick of the rifle, the sudden smoke curling through the air, audiences felt the authenticity in every shot. Eastwood's obsession was dangerous, yes, but transformative. The film's Western world wasn't recreated, it was relived. By embracing real firearms, real danger, and real reactions, Eastwood built a universe where the stakes weren't just imagined, they were lived, frame by frame, blast by blast. Few scenes captured Clint Eastwood's anti-hero edge quite like the dog spit moment. The dog, a scrappy mutt with a mind of its own, refused to cooperate. Trainers tried bribes, coaxing, and coaxed commands, but the dog had its own agenda. Eastwood, recognizing the unpredictability, decided to embrace chaos rather than fight it. On cue, the dog turned, and in a spur-of-the-moment gesture, spit toward Eastwood, or rather, toward the carefully prepared fake tobacco juice he held. The mixture, a clever concoction designed to look revolting but be harmless, added the perfect visual punch. Eastwood's timing was impeccable. His deadpan expression, the perfect tilt of his head, and the subtle flick of his wrist turned a potentially disastrous moment into cinematic gold. Crew members watched in stunned silence as the sequence unfolded, improvisation transforming a wild animal's rebellion into a defining character moment. Josey Wales' contempt, disdain, and rugged individuality were communicated in one grotesque yet hilarious gesture. It became instantly iconic, the kind of small, irreverent scene that lingered in audiences' minds long after the credits rolled. A chaotic, unscripted moment, captured perfectly on camera, encapsulated Eastwood's philosophy: sometimes the best performances are born not from control, but from letting the unexpected happen and trusting instinct, both human and animal. Eastwood's commitment to emotional authenticity reached a harrowing peak in the burned family scene. He demanded absolute silence, an almost sacred stillness on set, to allow the actors' grief to breathe without interference. Shooting in the early morning, before the world intruded, every shadow and ray of light accentuated the desolation. The emotional weight was crushing. Actors internalized the horror, and Eastwood refused to soften it with music or cinematic shortcuts. There would be no second take. He wanted the raw, unfiltered response, capturing a singular moment of unbearable loss. The crew held their breath as the camera rolled, aware that the scene's power lay not in spectacle but in truthful, gut-wrenching pain. Every tear, every flicker of shock, every whisper of disbelief was genuine. The scene became the spine of the film, a moment audiences could feel in their bones. Eastwood's insistence on precision and realism made the tragedy palpable, almost unbearable, yet profoundly human. It wasn't merely a performance, it was a lived experience, a snapshot of grief frozen in cinematic time. By refusing artifice, Eastwood created a sequence that anchored the film's emotional core, proving that in his hands, silence, pain, and stillness could speak louder than any dialogue or flourish of action. One of cinema's most quoted lines, "Dying ain't much of a living, boy," didn't exist in the script. The original scene dragged, dialogue felt stiff, and Eastwood sensed it lacked the fatalistic edge that defined Josey Wales. On the spot, he reimagined the exchange, condensing philosophy, menace, and dark humor into a single line. The improvisation was instinctual. Eastwood often trusted his gut, relying on years of experience to know when a scene needed stripping down or sharpening. As cameras rolled, he delivered the line with the perfect balance of calm, grit, and understated threat. Crew members later admitted that the moment felt inevitable, as though the words had always belonged to Wales. That single improvisation crystallized the character. It captured Josey Wales' worldview: life is harsh, death is constant, and survival requires a blend of pragmatism and defiance. It instantly became the thematic heartbeat of the film, influencing how audiences remembered every subsequent scene. Eastwood's choice to trust spontaneity over page-perfect dialogue reflected his broader philosophy: authenticity trumps perfection. In this brief instant, the actor, director, and character merged, creating a line that would echo through generations, a testament to instinct, improvisation, and the power of knowing exactly when to let a scene breathe on its own terms. The production of The Outlaw Josey Wales was a masterclass in controlled chaos. Flash floods swamped sets, windstorms ripped tents, and crucial equipment vanished in mud and rain. Filming out of sequence became a necessity, and actors immersed themselves in dangerous method performances, fully inhabiting their roles, sometimes risking injury to preserve authenticity. In the end, the chaotic shoot forged a masterpiece. Josey Wales bears the imprint of endurance, improvisation, and unwavering commitment to realism. The production itself reads as a legend, a testament to weather, madness, and method, culminating in a western that still shocks, thrills, and resonates decades later.